I'm sure all of us gamers have heard of Banjo-Kazooie and its sequel Banjo-Tooie, made by video game studio Rare. If you haven't heard of these games, I'll give a very brief explanation. They are 3D platforming games, and that's basically all you really need to know in terms of what they are. So the first Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie were big hits, and the IP got a lot of fans. And there is also spin-off games, but nobody cares about the spin-off games. The only ones that matter are the first one, Banjo-Kazooie, and the second one, Banjo-Tooie, and maybe Grunty's Revenge, which is a game that takes place between Banjo-Kazooie 1 and 2. Fans wanted a proper third game, but hope for a third game would die out. One of the reasons why this hope has died out is because the Banjo-Kazooie IP has gone dormant. The last main installment came out in the year 2000, or 2003 if we are counting Grunty's Revenge. And in terms of spin-offs, the last one to come out was Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts, and that came out in 2008, which is a long time ago at this point. Jumping to more modern times, hopes for remakes of the first two games or remasters for the first two games sparked to life. Another hope that sparked back to life was a third Banjo-Kazooie game, and the reason why these projects, the hope for these projects, had sparked to life is because Banjo-Kazooie was added as a playable character in Smash Ultimate, and also the amount of time that has passed as well is another factor, because technology has evolved over time. So since technology has evolved, it's gotten better. It could make these projects cooler and more possible than they were before. For those that don't know, Rare was bought out by Microsoft in 2002, and you might be thinking right now that Microsoft didn't allow them to make another Banjo-Kazooie game, but that's wrong. In a Kotaku interview with Phil Spencer, who is the head of Xbox, he responded to the request for Banjo-Kazooie to come back. He said, "I leave it up to the studio in terms of the things they want to go work on." So Rare gets to choose what games they work on, and if we take a look at their recent list of games that they have made Rare Replay, which is a collection of emulated ports of their old games to the Xbox One, and that includes Banjo-Kazooie 1 and 2, but this is a port, not a remaster or a remake of either game. Continuing the list, Sea of Thieves, a new Battletoads game, and they are currently working on a new game called Everwild that has not come out yet. Rare does not have a Banjo-Kazooie project planned right now, and it seems like they have their hands full with Everwild. With this confirmed freedom to work on whatever games they want, despite the fact that they are owned by Microsoft, and the almost complete lack of mentioning Banjo-Kazooie besides from when they got added to Smash Ultimate memes, along with the list of recent and current projects from Rare means, is that Rare probably doesn't want to make a Banjo-Kazooie game, and the IP will probably remain dormant forever. Something that I want to mention is that I found this interview that videogameschronicle did with Steve Mayles, who made the character model for Banjo-Kazooie, and something interesting, or something that I found interesting that he said was, could the reaction of fans to Banjo and Kazooie and Smash persuade Microsoft to make another Banjo game. The revival of Spyro and Crash went pretty well after all. I think a fairly safe way to gauge demand for a new game would be a remaster of the original two games. Then, if the interest is there, perhaps we could see Banjo return in the new no expense spared game he and Kazooie deserve. And I'm pretty sure when he says new no expense spared game, he's talking about Banjo-Kazooie 3. I think this quote shows that Rare has maybe considered working on a Banjo-Kazooie game. However, it seems like they have their hands full with Everwild. And I know some of you might be thinking that maybe Rare will work on a Banjo-Kazooie game after Everwild comes out. And that's a possibility, but it's been so long since a new Banjo-Kazooie game came out that it's not a very likely possibility. So that answers the question of why Rare will never make another Banjo-Kazooie game. And something I want to mention is that if I'm ever proven wrong, and Rare remasters the first two games, or remakes the first two games, or makes a third one, or does some combination of what I just said, I will make a video saying that I was wrong, and take a look at the announcement. That's about it. See ya.